How we sounding, everybody? Can you hear us okay? Big thumbs up if you can hear us. And we got a great show lined up. Our guests are here. Chad from Minnesota. We're going to go live in 1 minute, as long as we sound okay. Another beautiful day on the beach, everybody. Another beautiful day on the beach. Hello, Norma from Gallatin, Missouri. Sound okay, Jim? Christy's on. Greg from Michigan. You see, if you would get organized a little bit earlier than right at 9 o'clock. Wait.
If you would untangle them.
That's mic 3.
Oh, for the love of
Put that on the other chair and then grab your microphone. That's yours over there. Don't confuse me. Sound okay, everybody? If you can hear us. Jim, can you hear us okay? If you can hear us, we're going to rock and roll here. Testing 1, 2. Let's get a little sound check.
Hello, hello.
All right. Sexy voice there. I'm going to assume you can all hear us. Can you hear us? All right. I think the thumbs up from Jim means everything's good to go. So here we.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode number 124 of Beach Talk Radio. Today is Saturday, August the 1st, 2020, and we are broadcasting live from Peach Time Out on Fort Myers Beach. And we are 2 days away from launching our brand new website. It's coming along great. We already have several great sponsors, and we're going to tell you all about those. Nervous Nellies, JPS Vacation Rentals, and we appreciate everybody's support here. Thanks to all of our sponsors here, Mangaritas, CCG, Certified Public Accountants, Island Oils, Tiki Tours, the Fort Myers Tiki Tours, and our longest sponsor and supporter, Pete's Time Out. Thank you all. We appreciate it, and we'll tell you more about our website and the newsletter coming up next week. But we're going to get right into the show, everybody. And we have as our first guest, Jim Levins, who is running for Lee County Sheriff. And Jim, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. How are things going?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me, and things are going fantastic.
So first question is, why did you decide to run for Lee County Sheriff?
I've been here in Lee County for 35 years. I've been married for 25 years. We've got 4 children, 3 grandchildren, and I recently retired from the Lee County Sheriff's Office, where I did 30 years. And as my career was ending, my wife and I sat down and we realized I never had 2 bad days in a row. So decided I want to do this a little bit longer. So through my career, I worked in a lot of different divisions. I retired recently from the patrol division as a major. I was a captain for 13 years. I ran homicide, ran internal affairs for 7 years. I ran a district, was involved in hiring and firing, promotional process. And I realized that I have more to give. I was a public servant my whole life, and I'm ready to get back into it.
So, sorry, dear.
From a family of people involved in law enforcement, correct?
Yes, my grandfather years ago was the captain at Rikers Island. My mother was in Nassau County corrections officer. Then she went to Suffolk County, so moved out onto the island, and she was the first female sergeant. She was actually offered lieutenant to be the first female lieutenant, but my dad had recently passed, and that was her driving force. She would come home from work every day, and my dad would say, "Tell me stories, tell me stories." My brother Joe in New York, Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, recently retired after 30 years. My brother Ed worked with me here in Lee County, retired about 7 years ago after 27 years, was also a major. And my son is now corrections here. My nephew's in corrections here. My uncle was Suffolk County police officer. So, yeah, it's a family business.
Wow. So when you decided to run, you started the campaign, I think, 20 months ago.
Yeah, it was January of 2019. We came out. We knew that the biggest hurdle we were going to come across was the appointed temporary sheriff, Carmine Marcino, had the money, and he was going to have the support from Collier County, not so much Lee. So we knew we wouldn't be able to raise as much money as he did. So I need to get out there. I need to get my message out there, get to as many meetings, and get to the public for people to see who I am.
By the way, if anyone has any questions, you can type them in the chat box, and we'll pass them along to Jim. When you say Collier County, what impact does Collier County have on Lee County's sheriff race?
It shouldn't, but unfortunately it does. Carmine is from Collier County. The bulk of his career is from Collier County. He was a community policing officer down there. So I know when he came up here to help Mike Scott out with the last election, he brought a lot of his Collier County money. And if you look at even today, now, if you look at his contributions and donations, the majority of them are from Collier County.
Now, when you talk about you got out early to get your message out, what is your message that you want to convey to people?
The message is that I've been in the sheriff's office 30 years, Lee County. I started in corrections. I worked many divisions. I know the agency from the inside out. I have what it takes. I talk the talk and I can walk the walk. I know how to position people in the right place, and we have to do job one. We have to rearrange the manpower. I know where people's strengths and weaknesses are, and we need to realign right off the bat. We have way too many people. It's way too top heavy right now, the sheriff's office. And for each position that we eliminate, either through attrition or if they decide to move on, we can put 2 to 3 people on the road, 2 to 3 deputies. And that's where you need the deputies, boots on the street. Proactive policing is the only way to combat crime in Lee County and to deal with the racial divide today, and just to be more connected with the citizens of Lee County. You need community policing. And the only way to do that is boots on the street.
So one of the things you probably heard of was there was a murder on the beach. It happened at the Lani Kai. It's been a couple of weeks now. And one of the things that's frustrating to me is that we haven't heard anything from the sheriff's department on directly from the sheriff's department. There's speculation. You talk to people, you hear things that the people on the beach are safe, that there's not a murderer on the loose running around just waiting to kill the next person. And the sheriff's department, from what I understand, has like 10 PIOs. Why don't they return phone calls and why not communicate better with the community? At least let them know. We know there's an ongoing investigation. We're not asking for details of the investigation, but at least tell the community when you see a camera, you're in front of it anyway. So why not get in front of a camera and tell the beach people that they're safe?
Yeah, I don't know, because the temporary appointed sheriff does not miss an opportunity to get in front of the camera. So, but I guess the reason he's not getting in front of the camera today is because it wouldn't be good news. I don't know how you can say that there's not a murder on the loose if you haven't made an arrest, because if you know who it is, hopefully you have enough evidence to arrest him. He shouldn't be on the streets anymore. I'm not that familiar with the case, but I know in homicide, my career in homicide, as a detective in homicide, every one of my cases is solved. I'm the only person that can say that in Lee County. One other person, but he retired many years ago. I was also a sergeant. I came back as a sergeant, ran homicide. Then I came back as a captain and ran homicide. So that's in my blood. That is something I do. And I know the trick is to let the guys do their job, put the right people in the right place. And I have no contact right now with the sheriff's office and know who's in those units. But if you haven't done it, it's kind of hard to lead it. And that's the problem we're having right now.
So there have been 3,000 calls to the Lani Kai since 2017, far outnumbers any other resort on the beach. How do you fix that? I mean, what's the public safety answer to something like that?
The Lani Kai has always been, for the lack of a better term, an eyesore down here on the beach. I worked mainly here on the beach in the early 90s, and that's back when this was known as Zone 13, and there was one deputy on the beach. We ran the whole beach for a 10-hour shift by yourself. And a lot of our calls were at the Lani Kai. The problem is that I think the main issue is they oversell. They overserve customers. And then all of a sudden they get drunk, and now they have to deal with really drunks. And their bouncers think that means carte blanche. They can do what they want to these people, because we would go in there nightly for serious batteries. And ambulances go in there every night. And you can't do that. You can't have that. So first off, maybe bring alcohol and tobacco in, maybe do a couple of undercover stings and see if they'll serve underage and overserve people, and hold them accountable, hold them to task. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of stores down here. There's a lot of beaches.
It seems like there's some kind of protective womb around that place. So why isn't it being done?
Well, the family that owns it, I won't mention their name, but everybody knows the name of the family
Sure.
that owns Delaney Kai, and they've been well connected with the sheriff's office for many, many, many years. And that's where you have right now. And that's the main thing about me with my career is, and my campaign, I don't owe anybody anything. So it's not like I have to come in and say, oh, well, you contributed to my campaign, so I've got to take care of you. I don't owe anybody anything. My wife and I did this. A lot of our campaign is funded by our own money. But of course we do take donations and contributions, and we've been helped out a lot by the community, but you have to own it. Okay. And I definitely own it.
Now, besides the fact that you mentioned about the top heavy situation that I have right now, what else do you think you bring or you would like to change were you elected?
Okay. One of the first things that we need to do is we need to step up our active shooter for the schools and our kids. Right now, the deputies only train once a year for active shooter at the gun range. I'm going to have the school resource officers and bailiffs division train every other month with SWAT in their environment. This way, if a situation kicks off, the 3 or 4 SROs at the school resource officers, can go in, neutralize the threat, and save our kids. That's got to get done. We have an opioid addiction. Every family's been touched by this opioid addiction. And it's really simple to solve this. You have to be proactive. DEA literally has a database. They know where every pill goes in Lee County. So if this store is selling 20,000 pills a month and this store is selling 20,000 pills a week, guess what we keep an eye on?
Right.
And we send people in there and we shut it down. That's where the dirty scripts are and the dirty doctors are. But my biggest accomplishment is going to be a special response team. Right now, 75% of our calls are dealing with emotionally challenged individuals. Oh. And our deputies get taught the bare minimum on how to deal with these individuals. Excuse me. In the sheriff's office, if you have a crash, a DUI crash, it involves injuries or fatality, we send a specialty unit, the traffic unit, to handle that call. So if we're sending people to overdoses, suicide threats, suicide attempts, or Baker Acts, we send a special response team. Once they get there, they're de-escalating the situation. That's where most of our uses of forces are and where our officer-involved shootings are. We just had one in North Fort Myers last week. Same situation. I'm not saying that it could have went any different.
Right.
But what I am saying is that if you're sending specially trained individuals, the percentage is going to come down. Now, another part of that unit is these individuals deal with police officers during crisis situations. So what I'm going to do is have my officers go back 2 or 3 weeks later, make contact with that individual. Hey, Joe, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you reacting? So all of a sudden, now they get to know our police officers. More importantly, they don't deal with us only at a time of crisis. Mm-hmm. And it'll make our dealing with them that much better.
So back to the race between you and Sheriff Marcino. How have the debates been going?
Real well, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm the only one that shows up. We've had 6 or 7 debates where he's either not responded or backed out at the last minute. And that makes it tough because I'd like to compare myself to my candidate, my opponent, and I can't do that when he's not there. So when I have to bring up the things that I know about him, it sounds like I'm smearing him or bad talking, and I don't mean to do that whatsoever. And if ever I say something that is not true, I would want his camp to let me know, and I will apologize from the tallest tree because that's not my intention. I know we have events, local events. I've gone to every event in the last year and a half, and I'll put on my Facebook page if I'm going, and he won't show up. He hasn't been there. So it makes things tough, and that's a shame because the public has a right to know. They have a right to sit in the audience and ask us tough questions. And for us to be able to answer these questions on the fly like we're doing here today, as opposed to having a script. The only way I can look at it is he's doing the Joe Biden campaign right now. He's doing it from the basement.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's been no debates or no showing up or anything like that? Why?
He just flat out doesn't have the experience or knowledge to be able to answer the tough questions. If you look at the administration right now, the sheriff's office, we are so top heavy. We have captains, commanders, majors, colonels, chief, undersheriff, and sheriff. Now think of that. If you're in an office and you have a decision, hey, what do you think? The sheriff says to the undersheriff, well, I don't know. Let's ask the chief. Well, I don't know. Let's ask the colonel. Well, I don't know. Let's ask the major. Oh, I don't know. Let's ask the commander. Let's ask the captain. It's not necessary.
Why is it that way? How did it get that way?
When Carmine first took over, he did a radio show. I won't mention the radio show,
Okay.
but he did a radio show, and he had said that he was not going to change the sheriff's office. He's being handed a silver platter, and he's just going to run with it. No changes coming up. Less than 5 days later, 5 business days later, he made 20 promotions. Out of the 20 promotions, 18 were created positions, the commander positions, that were not filled. So now, and all these salaries that are $100,000 or plus, that was $1.8 million. He had to all of a sudden pull out of his budget from nowhere and just hired these individuals. How do you do that? That's just unbelievable. Now, at a cost, he had to shut down the highway interdiction completely. We have no more highway interdiction. This unit, if they made one good stop a year, that would cover their salaries and expenses for 4 years. The sexual predator unit, we have 953 sexual predators registered or offenders in Lee County. Yes,
What?
That's hard to believe.
Oh.
And our policy in Lee County says we have to, as a detective, put eyes on these offenders once every 30 days. Not call the boss, call the neighbor, make sure they're okay. Go put eyes on them. He has knocked this unit down to 2 people. It's flat out impossible to do that with 2 people. Now, putting the people up in the upper echelon like he did, we have deputies per capita. That's how many deputies you have per 1,000 citizens. In Florida, the national average is 2.4. We're less than 1. We are literally 64 out of 67 counties. And you can't combat crime that way. It's just impossible. You cannot fight crime that way. Our deputies are literally going from call to call. There's no personal service. There's no proactive policing. And the budgets, our budget is great. The county commissioners give us the money we need, and the citizens approve it. Out of 67 counties, we're actually 9th in budgets.
What is the Lee County sheriff budget?
Just under $200 million.
$200 million. How many more deputies would you put on the street if you were elected sheriff?
Well, I can think of right now 35 to 40 positions that I'm going to eliminate through attrition or see if I can encourage them to retire early. And for each one of those, I could put 2 to 3 deputies. So do the math. You're talking 100 to 120 deputies can go on the street without costing the taxpayers a nickel.
And so some of them would obviously go to watching those predators. What other areas do you think need more attention?
The spots I talked about was the officer-involved shooting, the active shooters, the opioid addiction. We need to start our narcotics unit again. Back when I was in the agency, our narcotics unit was 50 strong. Now we're down to 3 or 6 people. You can't do an operation safely with 3 individuals or 6 individuals in the narcotics division. We need to step up the community policing. Community policing is a very good function. However, here's the difference. It's not the stepping stone to sheriff. And that's what happened in this situation. It is a great thing. It's a great tool. It gives you contact. It engages the public with the sheriff's office and vice versa.
When there's a sheriff, when Mike Scott was the sheriff, whoever the sheriff is, everybody says that the undersheriff is the person doing all the work because the sheriff's being, I guess, the politician. I don't know specifically what he's doing, but was he doing all the work?
No, absolutely not. When the temporary appointed sheriff came up, Mike brought him up as a lieutenant. Didn't take any tests, just brought him up as a lieutenant. Now, his experience was a community policing officer, never took a test, never passed the sergeant's test, came up as a lieutenant. And his job was to walk around with Mike. And that's all he did. A year later, he made captain, never in charge of a unit, never ran a division, never did an evaluation on anybody, never had to deal with manpower issues. As far as I know, never signed a report. And same thing when he was under sheriff. He was basically, for lack of a better term, a puppet. And that's what he walked into. Now, when I finished the agency, I was a nighttime watch commander. I was the highest ranking member working at the time with the sheriff's office. So what that means is anything that comes out through the sheriff's office goes through me. If you need a helicopter, if you need a dog, you need a plane, you need a boat, you need hostage negotiation, you need SWAT, it went through me. So yes, I was running the sheriff's office from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. and I loved it. And I wasn't, even if you go back to when I was a lieutenant and a sergeant and a captain, and I finished up my career, I wasn't the guy that sat in the office. I was out on the street with my guys because frankly, that's where the fun is.
Speaking of your guys, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm going to ask because I'm always interested in this. What do you think the rank and file thinks?
I think I've got about 85% of the rank and file. I think I have just about everyone in the agency, except for the people that are in his entourage. Now, even the positions I'm talking about eliminating, I'm not going to go in there with a wrecking ball and just fire people. Okay, we're going to lose those positions through attrition. So their positions are fine. Their jobs are safe. And other individuals, Carmine started the dog program, okay, which is the abuse program for animal abuse. That's a great program. That's the one thing he did right. He nailed that. And that just needs to be followed up on. That I know with the sheriff's office, we have problems with getting convictions. So we need to work on that part of it. So I'm going to make that better. And we also need to expand it. We have horse rescue out there, horse rescue and other animal rescues that we're lacking. We need to step up in that area as well.
The horses need to be rescued in Lee County. I didn't know that.
Yes, we actually have quite a few. And these organizations have reached out to me and asked me what my feelings are. And I'm definitely going to step up in that area. I live on a cattle ranch in North Fort Myers. So, livestock means a lot to me.
Why is it that it seems like all the politicians that are in the Republican Party in the high places are on his team?
Wow, you got some questions.
Because I don't care either.
Yeah, it's a money thing. It's as simple as that. It's a money thing. And I'll be honest with you, every one of these events that I'm going to, these other politicians are walking up to me and say, "Hey, Jim, you're getting this done. That from what I see, you got this in the bag." And I always run like I'm 30 points down. And they all say to me, "I'm looking forward to working with you," because I'm out there. I'm telling them what my program is, what I'm going to do. And I'm talking from experience. I've done this. And it's easy for me to do this. It's easy for me to talk about it. And that is very rewarding. When I first started, I was shunned, of course, because I was the new guy. And going to these clubs, all of a sudden you start seeing people warm up to you. And now when I'm in a room, they walk right over to me. They can't wait to say hi to me. And that's really exciting. I'm not going to let it go to my head.
Right.
But I look forward to working with them in the future. The county commissioners, I look forward very much to working with them.
Do you have any sidebar conversations with the Lee County commissioners where they're? I'm not going to ask that. I don't put anybody on the spot like that because it's unfair. It's not really fair. They have to stay neutral, right? Don't they?
Yeah,
I guess.
I think so.
Yeah,
private is private.
They do, but it is. I do get all the private conversations. We were at a meeting the other day, and I had two politicians come up to me and said the same thing. They said, "We're going to have a great working relationship." And I feel like saying, well, I know I'm going to win my race. I don't know about yours, but I know I got
so
mine.
many races going on. So this defund the police thing that's been going around at the country, it just, it's taken a life of its own. What are your thoughts on that?
Defund the police. What it is, excuse me.
You need some water or something?
No,
you want
I'm
a beer?
No, I don't want a beer. It's too early. It's a touchy subject. I know I was at a couple of meetings with individuals with Bridge the Gap, and there was another organization I sat down with, the church in Lehigh, and they brought up defund the police. And here's the thing. You need money for your organization. I agree with that. But why does it have to come from my pot? As a sheriff, you have to apply with the county commissioners. You put in a budget of your needs, not your wants, your desires, and your dreams, of your needs. So every nickel I need, I can't give away to other organizations. So what I told these leaders of these organizations was, if you have a need and you can articulate like I have to articulate mine, I will go with you down to the county commissioner's office and say, "Hey, gentlemen, women, they have a need, they have a desire, and I agree with it. I will help you get your funding, but it doesn't have to come from mine." And here's something else I try to explain to them. When you talk about defunding the police, so just say they're going to take $2 million out of my budget. And then all of a sudden, what makes you think you're getting that $2 million? If that goes into another pot, if that goes into a pot, there's going to be 30 different places trying to get it. So just because you target me doesn't mean you're getting it. So let's work together and get you what you need from the community if it's a viable need.
I know that police officers and sheriff's deputies and all law enforcement people put their lives on the line every day. And most people will not know what they go through on an average traffic stop. But what is it about some police officers that the power goes to their head to the point where they kneel on somebody's neck and kill them?
Well, that incident, I was on Fox News the next day calling that a homicide, because I am including the other candidates and the temporary sheriff. I'm the only one candidate that has actually worked these cases, have investigated these cases. And there's nothing that officer would have said to me that would have justified him staying on that neck the amount of time he did. Once the resistance stops, you stop. Your use of force stops. Simple as that. And that didn't happen in that case. I have actually arrested officers for violating the law. We do a policy violation, and turned out he broke the law. And I'm sorry, you broke the law. You're a person. You go to jail, and that's what happened. They got arrested. So I'm the only one that does that. The other individuals have no experience in this area. There's one other one that does that did internal affairs, but that's so important to be able to bridge the gap with the racial divide right now.
Well, speaking of that, young black males feel like they're always targeted by the police. Is that true? And I mean, to them it is. I mean, so how do you fix that?
Backgrounds. Right now, our officers, our backgrounds are done by slightly trained investigators. What I'm going to do is bring in highly trained investigators to do background checks. When you do a background check on an individual, you will catch most of these issues.
You mean a background check on
hiring a new officer?
Okay.
I know the president just signed an executive order setting up a database for people who have anger management problems. But guess what? A good background investigation would find that. And that's where it starts. Then it starts with training. Well, here's another issue that what I see, and I've seen from working the road. If you hire somebody that, I hate to use the term, has white privilege and becomes an officer and has never dealt with anybody in the past, has never had a confrontation with anyone, all of a sudden does a traffic stop, and the individual behind the wheel, doesn't have to be black, could be white, could be anybody, all of a sudden mouths off to the officer. The officer's like, wait a minute, you can't talk to me like that. He's not used to confrontation. So he goes over the edge. So that's an issue that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
They need better training. And I know with me, I worked in the jail for 3 years before I went to the road, and that is experience you cannot pay for.
Are you talking about that one video that went crazy viral with the woman that she started yelling at the officer and he got her to come out of the car and he wound up killing her? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I'm not referring.
Wow.
No, I don't really remember that one. I'm not referring to that
I don't
one.
know why I'm remembering that. It must have been on some podcast I was listening to. It was on a podcast. I don't remember which one.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
but
didn't mean to
they need to
digress like that.
We're all like, what?
They need to learn how to de-escalate.
Yeah.
And I mean, if somebody mouthed it off to me when I was at a stop, I'm like, okay.
So does Fort Myers, sorry, I'm monopolizing all the questions here. Does Fort Myers Beach need a substation? You see it's coming in here now?
I like the idea of a substation here on the beach. We used to have one right here in the parking lot. The reason I like it on the beach is if an officer needs something, he doesn't have to go all the way up to the substation. And it's nice to have a place where people can come in and put a face with a name.
Yeah.
Not that the temporary sheriff's face has to be on every substation.
Right.
And that's not going to happen when I'm sheriff. And I'm not going to be in front of every media, camera. That's what public information officers are for. I'm actually going to be out doing my job.
I think also just having the presence here is going to keep some element out.
Most definitely. It's definitely soothing. Now here it's a good place. I know he just opened one at the Bell Tower. I don't know if that's such a great spot. He opened one at Miramar Mall. I don't know if there's ever been a crime at the Miramar Mall. So if they're strategically placed, yes.
Does he get his picture on all of them?
Yes, he does.
Guys.
So before we got a couple more questions, but a lot of people have been asking where to get signs and how to get in touch and all that. So what's the deal with that?
Through my website, levinsforlee.com. You can email us and we'll get signs to you. We've got window stickers, of course. We have everything you need. Contact us, levinsforlee.com. Check out my videos. I've got some serious endorsements from other sheriffs. I've got endorsements from captains, chiefs, colonels, majors. And the important thing about my endorsements, these are individuals that have done the job. They're either in the office making the decisions or in the office when the decisions are made. And they've worked with me for 20 years and they say that man can make the decisions. And that's what's important. It's not a political favor. It's not me going to another politician saying, hey, I'll give you an endorsement if you give me one. That's not worth the paper it's written on. My endorsements, I've got character videos on my website and you see them. You can look in their eyes and you can see that they really believe in what they're saying.
Thanks, Kathy. That's right. It was Sandra Bland in Texas. I appreciate it. Somebody always out there will remember things. So one of the things that somebody's been trying to sneak out there or post on social media is something that I want you to just knock down right now. Some discipline in your past that people are criticizing you about. Talk about that.
Yeah, when I was earlier in my past, people might have said that I might have had a chip on my shoulder when I was younger. Excuse me. But if you actually look at my discipline, from 95, it pretty much changed. That's when I met my wife, and she changed my world. She truly has. And also, that's when my promotion started. I made sergeant since then. I made lieutenant. I made captain, made major. I was running some serious units, important units. And if ever the sheriff had an issue, Mike Scott, he would call me. Hey, I've got a problem in homicide. I need you to go from Lehigh and cover homicide for me. You know, I need you. And one of the most proudest moments I had when I went to homicide, when I transferred into homicide, they just had an opening. And when I say homicide, it's sex crimes, it's domestic violence, it's economic crimes, it's a slew of other crimes. And when I went in there, they had an opening for violent crimes. They had 3 people put in for it throughout the agency. After I was there 2 months, we had an opening, 24 people put in for it. That means something. That means they want to come work for me, because I am not a micromanager. I give you the tools you need to do your job.
Yeah. Rate the job Carmine's doing, in your opinion, since he was appointed by, I don't know, how do you get appointed? You just I mean, I know Mike left and you automatically get appointed somehow. Who appointed him? I don't know how that works.
At the time, that was a softball, by the way. At the time, Rick Scott appointed him, the governor.
Okay.
And Rick Scott's neighbor is Carmine's dad.
Cut it out.
So that's how that happened. Yes.
Did you know that?
I did
You
not
did all
know
that research and you didn't know that.
Well,
They live in the same neighborhood. Yes, sir.
So rate his job up to this point. How long has he been in there now?
A year and a half.
Okay.
Overall,
1 to 10. What's 10 being the best, 1 being the worst?
well, you're really
you put me on the
boxing.
spot.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this.
Well, you're a fair person.
I'm going to give him a 3,
Oh,
but I'm going to give the agency a 10
Okay.
because they're picking up his slack. No doubt in my mind, they're picking up his slack. Another project that he disbanded was Project Lifesaver. This is such a good project. It's about runaways. It's about people with dementia, people with Alzheimer's that turn up missing. This was such a good program. Cape Coral PD just picked it up. He disbanded the whole thing. And we had 53 members on it. Basically what it is, it's a GPS on an individual. If Uncle Joe is known to walk away, he walks out of the house, you have an alarm goes off, says Uncle Joe ran away. You call the sheriff's office, we send a sergeant down there. The sergeant pulls up his equipment, says, okay, Uncle Joe is 3 blocks over and 2 to the right. You go bring him home. He disbanded that unit. Now, most of that, the program, most of that was already paid for by the individuals. We had a small cost. We had to train sergeants how to use the equipment, and we had the equipment, and that was it. It was already paid for by the county commissioners. I'm told he actually destroyed the equipment. I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what I was told. He replaced it, and you can look this up online, with Project Reunite. Now, I'm not punking anyone. This is serious. You're supposed to go home with Uncle Joe, take a Q-tip, rub it on his arm, get a DNA sample, put it in an envelope, put it in the freezer. If Uncle Joe turns up missing 3 years from now, you call the sheriff's office. We send deputies, canines, bloodhounds, helicopters, boats, trains, automobiles, everything.
And a COVID test now.
And a COVID test. And we get there, take the Q-tip, give it to the bloodhound. And the bloodhound goes looking for him.
Sounds more expensive to me.
Well, not only is it more expensive, it's so antiquated.
Yeah.
I mean, what's if Uncle Joe got in the car and drove away?
What was the reason for the change given?
I believe the reason was he wanted to put his spin and his name on everything. So now he says, I did Project Reunite. So it sounds like he did something. But if you actually compare to what it was, it's such a waste of taxpayer money.
so it went from a GPS program to a DNA collecting program.
There you go.
Okay.
So,
I'm just
Yeah, it confuses me every time. Literally, I'm going to tell you this. My wife and I were sitting on the couch the night it was on the news, and we're looking at each other and saying, is this for real? Is it? Because my wife is also in law enforcement. She did 23 years as a forensics expert. She actually teaches right now part-time at the police
Your
academy.
wife knows more about politics than anyone I've ever met in my life, like that, down to every race. She knew who was running for dog catcher and why it was such a brutal race
You
for
know
dog
what?
catcher.
I got somebody in mind for that dog catcher position. But you want to know something? She didn't know anything before I started running.
No kidding.
Oh,
Wow.
And you know what? She if she wants, she has a future here, because everywhere we go, people will say to her, "You need to run for something. You need
Yeah.
to run for something."
No, don't do it. Don't. Good people, no, don't do it. They ruin you. They ruin you. So one debate would be nice. One debate. I mean, the people really should hear you guys talk to each other, don't you think?
Any place, anytime.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't have an ear mic.
Yeah.
I don't want an
Who
ear,
would be in the ear mic?
There'd probably be 15 or 20 people.
Yeah. So last question, then we'll let you go. I know you're off to the gun show. You're going to the gun show. I
Most
mean,
definitely.
all of our peeps are going to be there at the gun
Yeah.
show.
Second
'cause-
Amendment.
Yeah.
Second Amendment. I will never come for your guns.
Yeah.
I'm a constitutional officer first.
Right. And so that's going to be a big crowd, I'm guessing.
Yes, I know. We just went to the one last month, and over 4,000 people per day are going in through there.
Yeah.
It is spectacular.
Yeah, we were talking to somebody who said there was really like usually getting permits and all of that stuff was a certain amount of time, and it's been delayed just because of the number of people that are going out. And
She was saying
You know.
last night she wanted to go to the gun show
Yeah.
because she wants a
I
gun.
know, yeah,
so.
I was thinking
But
that.
she was also throwing an axe last night, so she must be in a violent mood
well,
for some
and-
reason.
no. My aim was so bad with the axe, and I know I'm much better with a gun.
You
than
stand a
the
better
axe.
chance with an axe.
Yeah, yeah. So,
He does.
An axe is one shot. A gun can have 15 rounds at it.
so when Mike Scott goes into the voting booth, who's he going to vote for?
You'd have to ask Mike Scott that.
Good
Good
answer.
answer.
Good answer. Last time, tell everybody where they can find you, donate, get signs, help out with the campaign. There's only 17 days left.
Levensforlead.com. I am very approachable.
Yes,
I will
for
answer
sure.
any questions you have through the website. If you have my number, feel free to call me. Contact my campaign manager. Same thing. We're also going to set up some waving days. We set up coffee with a cop. I actually have to come back here to the beach tonight. We're having coffee with a cop.
Nice.
Basically, it's 15, 20 neighbors that sit down, and I explain pretty much like we did here today.
Awesome.
And we're booked from now till the campaign doing it, but we are continue doing it. Check us out on Facebook. Share everything that you get on Facebook, and let your neighbors know, let your friends know who I am, what I am. Compare me to anybody. The best voter out there is an educated voter. Compare me to any other candidate, and I'm sure you do the right thing.
And please share this video from today and let everybody know that Jim's running for sheriff. And Jim, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
We hope to have you on after you win.
I will definitely come back out.
Jim Levens,
Thank you
everybody,
so
running
much.
for Lee County Sheriff, and we appreciate Jim coming on. He's been great, and good luck in the race. And right now, I want to tell you before we have Ray Sandelli come on and talk about some county politics, I want to tell you about islandoils.com. Island Oils, one of our sponsors. They've been around for a few weeks now, repelling the bugs, the no-see-ums, the mosquitoes, the flies, the gnats. Soothes the itch if you've already been bitten. 100% oil, 100% works, no water added. Oil and water don't mix unless you shake it like crazy. Made in Florida by Floridians, and it smells fabulous. And remember, you can order it online at islandoils.com. I'm sorry, islandoilsllc.com, and it comes in like a day or two, and it's great stuff. We have a bunch of it out in the backyard, and so that's islandoilsllc.com. So check them out as you. We had the mosquito guys coming by in the truck and in the helicopter, so we don't even need them to come by our block anymore because we have the Island Oil stuff. And also want to tell you about CCG Certified Public Accountants. They just started sponsoring us as well, and we appreciate Steve and his company. Over 100 years in tax preparation experience, 4 CPAs and 10 accounting professionals, 6 years in business. They can do tax preparation remotely, everybody, and that's important right now because you don't want anybody passing around the COVID and passing it back and forth on your tax forms. Nothing is worse than having to pay a big tax bill and catching COVID at the same time because that's just a crappy day all around. So you can give Steve and the guys at CCG Certified Public Accountants a call. The phone number there is 992-1973. I like that. 992-1973. And that's CCG Certified Public Accountants. And once again, thanks to Jim Levens for coming on. We appreciate that. He comes on and he's running for Lee County Sheriff. And if you want some signs and you want to help out, you know where to go. Right now, back for the hat trick. It's his third time on the show. That's a little hockey reference there for those of you that don't follow hockey. Is Ray Sandelli, Lee County Commissioner. Ray, how are you doing?
Good morning. Another beautiful day at the beach.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you on, and we appreciate you coming down.
It's I always said before, not a better way to start, especially the weekend than down here at the beach. So thank you.
And Ray, so people know you've been the commissioner since the governor appointed you. And when was that again?
About 4 days, a year ago, 4 days ago. And so I actually got a picture of my family up at the beach, sending me, hey, it was 1 year ago, and reminded me it's been a fast year, very busy, a lot of opportunities, a lot of challenges, as you well know, but 1 year.
Aside from the COVID, what's been like the biggest issue? Am I stealing your questions?
No, I just wanted to ask him. So when you
Nothing's
came on
changed
the show,
in the last year.
no.
Trying to be kinder and gentler, Ray.
Yeah.
When you came on not
Yes.
too long, it was pretty soon after you had been elected.
Right.
And we talked about what your plans were. And, you really were brand new, you couldn't say. So in this year that you've been on, what have you learned?
Well, you learn a lot, and I think you always learn the most in times of challenge than you do with success. We had, if we go back to Dorian, remember Dorian, the hurricane? Nobody talks about that anymore, but I spent a good time of that week in the Emergency Operations Center and watched how that whole team together. I was actually there this past week just watching, the storm and where it's going to go and how people are planning. Very different because of COVID and all the implications involved in that. Then we had the pandemic, and there was a lot of questions on what it was. How do you handle it, both from the virus perspective and the health perspective, and how do you handle it from an economic perspective? We had a little incident at the airport where we had some cars that burned up, and I was up there that night and with the team, and they're an amazing team, our first responders, and I was actually moving cars out of the fire line.
Did they ever find out how that started?
I think it was probably heat from a catalytic converter, but I haven't seen any final report on that.
Wow.
But I think it was just happenstance, unfortunately. The problem was a lot of these cars, would get moved out of state, for the summer months. Well, because of everything being locked down, there was no place to put them, as I understand. So the cars had to be stored here, and we ended up with that.
I had rented a car. It's funny that you say that because I had rented a car in that area around that time. And the guy was like, here, have your pick. And as I drove around the RSW area, I was like, you have so many cars. You should be giving me this car. He said, yeah, they had,
how'd that work out?
I think 6,000 extra cars that they were storing.
That's right. So that was a challenge. And then we, of course, we get into other issues, just day-to-day issues but feel very fortunate that the team at Lee County, the thing that probably surprised me the most is how responsive we can be. You get an issue comes in, you can go to the appropriate, whether it's Roger, or whether it's legal, and you get an answer back. And my assistant, Charlotte Kodai, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's on every day, and she'll have things, go out to the right people, and then you get an answer back. And you can't please everybody, and stuff like this, but it's nice to be able to respond to constituency in a timely manner.
So the numbers have been coming down COVID-wise, and at Lee Health anyway, we see them every day, and they've been coming down by quite a bit. What's your opinion on how DeSantis has handled the whole thing in the state?
Well, what I like about the governor, I ran the state of Florida. I had responsibility for the state of Florida, 7 offices, 600 or 700 people. And the thing that I learned is that every market's different. When I was in Miami, there was a certain set of circumstances. In Jacksonville, it was different. Orlando, Southwest Florida. And while there were some commonalities, there are things that are local. And so I think what the governor did was said, look, here's some general guidelines from the CDC. Here's the position I'm taking. Each market take a look at, based on your population, based on age, based on a lot of things, and make the appropriate decisions. And I like that kind of approach as opposed to being told necessarily to do something. The biggest concern, obviously, when this thing started was, can our health system, and these are phenomenal people, can they, in fact, handle whatever was coming down the line? Because there's a lot of questions. We didn't know what it was, how fast it was traveling, what demands it was going to place on the system. And but I think they've done a great job, and I so much respect for them.
I'm reading Dr. Antonucci's statements every day. He seems to be real good at talking about how important it is to be safe, but also making sure that we need to be open. He's good about both of those things, because I think the last thing everybody wanted was to shut back down again.
Well, I think that he's the guy when it comes from the health side and the CDC and everything, but I also think he understands the ramifications of shutting down.
Yeah.
Not just the economic, but the effect on people. We've seen an increase, with people with dealing with personal problems, whether it's internal within the family, whether it's depression, whether it's drug abuse. So there are other ramifications that we're learning as we go along, whatever. And so to shut it down again just exacerbates that. That's been a challenge.
Did the county get a lot of criticism for not calling a meeting to discuss the masks? Because it was the one municipality that, wasn't meeting for hours and hours and hours to hear about the masks.
Well, the mask is a very interesting, I carry one with me every day. It's got mine in my pocket here. And I think that we're trying to be respectful of the incorporated areas who may make certain decisions. But also, we have responsibility for the whole county. And I think the position we took was responsibility. I don't think many of us like to be told to do something.
Right.
But if we can take individual responsibility and we can understand the ramifications, I think people are pretty good. I took a walk over to the beach here when I first got down here, and it's very impressive to see people kind of spread out and people doing their thing.
Yeah.
And I think we're all becoming aware that this is an issue. It's got a lot of ramifications, and I put great trust in our neighbors. So
you're running for re-election, but you're not really a campaigner, are you? Or are you? I mean, are you out there a lot? Are you doing a lot of things?
Well, if you have to ask me that question, I guess I wasn't doing very much.
The reason I say that is because you're too damn nice a guy to be out there going crazy campaigning. That's why I say that.
Well, I made a promise to my family. I made a promise to my parents, who unfortunately are passed, that I would run a certain type of campaign. I want my family, I want my parents, God bless them, to look down and say, that's our boy, and he did it the right way. So I run it a certain way, and I stand on my own work and methodology and try to let other people speak for themselves.
Well, and I think, what you're saying is not running negative ads,
right,
for the other side. And I think we've seen and continue to see quite a bit of that in other races.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure that works. I mean,
the August 18th is coming. The voters will decide. And I trust me, I have worked hard. And do I want to win this? Absolutely. I really look forward to the next 4 years. But it's not up to me. Well, and I've been. I was out last night. I was out probably 3 nights this week. I still have a job at the county, and I take that very responsibly. So I'm tired.
You go down where we are. You go down Tree Line and some of the other big roads. You got some big ass signs. You must have people backing you. Who supports you that maybe we don't know?
Well, I've been very fortunate, to have people step up and support my campaign, whether they like me personally or my background or what skill sets I bring. So we've been fortunate with I had a wonderful meeting with Al Durrett this past week.
Great.
What a phenomenal individual.
Yeah.
Very good conversation, and first time we actually met, and I hope that I can earn his support and so on and so forth. So that's been the best part of this.
now, go ahead.
No. So the best part has been the people I've met and the places that I've gone and see. Maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. People say, so where's the garbage go? I don't know. You put it at the end of the driveway, it disappears. It's magic,
Right.
But I've been out to the waste energy plant. What a great group of people out there. I've
Super
been out
nice
to the
facility,
to the landfill. When I was a kid, we went to the dump.
Right.
The way they do this is, and it's phenomenal. And you're very proud of it. For the way that we approach these issues.
So you mentioned for the next 4 years, what do you think are some of the big issues and things that you want to address going forward when you get elected?
Well, hold that thought. Thank you. I think the biggest focus for me right now, there's a couple key issues, but I think for me right now, it's jobs, because in order to sustain this economy, we got to get people back to work, whether it's a personal reason, professional reason. So it's a matter of retaining the companies that we have. Make sure you understand what they're trying to do, what their needs are, because they're usually their best spokesman when you start talking to, companies that are looking at the area. What did you find? And they can talk to the Chamber of Commerce, which is very important. They can talk to us, but they can talk to you. But the fact of the matter is, people that have been there, run down that road, it can advise them. That's usually well taken. And the second thing is how do we, bring new people in? It's interesting because you don't hear too much about it. We've got about 1,500 jobs teed up on the Alico corridor with companies, like NeoGenomics and so on and so forth. And those are going to provide, great jobs. I met with a team that is proposing the MRO, the maintenance, repair, and overhaul of piece at the airport. Not only is there's a need for that, and not only are they great people, but they have a school attached to that where they can hire people, bring them into the classroom, put them out, in the field with them, and do on-the-job training and provide them a career. And so I try to look at it from end to end. How does everything connect? I was at Bonita Springs High School. They have a couple of great programs, one for aviation. Maybe I can help there,
Yes.
and another one for, HVAC systems and stuff. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. I also met with the Hispanic, vote committee last week or the week before, and they had some great questions on education, on housing, and the future. And I said, here's my only thing for you. Don't think small. I said, you ever hear of Jorge Maztec, George Perez, the Related Group? Those are two $5 billion companies here in Florida. That's your site. Think big, and I think there's a lot of great potential there.
Right. So, what do you say to the criticism that you're for too much growth? That was the one thing I saw that people, you look around on people that get on Facebook and try and slam you for something or criticize you for something. I don't want to aggravate somebody where they're telling me, they're picking on me now.
I mean, we are a state. We're very attractive to people, both economically because of our tax, situations. Look, most of us came here from somewhere else. And a lot of people come for exactly what's over here. Beautiful water, beautiful beaches, and that's why it's so important to to protect that. So you can't stop it. The question is, how do you plan for it, and how do you welcome people? We have there's a lot of different implications for that, but I think we want to create communities. I think when we create communities, if you have a community that's built, and you can incorporate green space in that, which we're doing on some wonderful new projects, then it creates a sense of place, sense of community, and where people stay within their community for the most part, which alleviates travel on the roads. So, I think we need to be a welcoming community. It brings a diversity into our community. It brings a different sense of talent pool, and I want people to come here and feel welcome.
When people say that there's too much growth, what do they really mean by that? What is the criticism of? Like, do they mean you're just letting too many homes go up, or you're encouraging too many big buildings, or what is the exact criticism so people understand?
I think where people get frustrated because we all travel on the same roads. So I think it's the infrastructure,
Sure. Okay.
that gets pressed. Roads take time, they take money.
Yeah.
Okay, it takes time, money, and it takes patience. We did a ribbon cutting up in Lehigh a couple of weeks ago. Great project. Up on Homestead, and you're exactly right. This is a big project. I am. Here's what I'm pleased about. You come up here now, a big part of it's done.
Yeah.
We're getting down to the southern part, but you watch people for the most part, very politely let people come into traffic, be very cautious of the pedestrians and the bikes and so on and so forth. So, and it's hard because especially here, it was such a confined space, that you had to deal with. And, but I think it worked out well, but it takes time, money, and patience.
So
So I think that's the biggest thing. Everybody's went that infrastructure.
A couple of projects. You guys just approved a project on the other side of the bridge here that now is caught up in a lawsuit. We got one on this side that's caught up in a lawsuit. What are your thoughts on those two projects?
Well, on the one, across the way, I think you had to look at one, what was originally proposed, okay? And I'm speaking just for myself. What was originally proposed? What modifications were made to try to make the project more acceptable? What period of time has it taken? Because these are people that, on the private side, time is money, and they only have a finite way to do that, whether it's across the bridge or here. And so you take that into consideration. And then the other thing is, for people that don't want it, what has occurred in those areas that has improved the area? So are we just status quo? Are we, not moving along at all? Does this in fact make it better? And so you weigh all that together, and look, nobody has all the answers, and you're not going to satisfy everybody, but you try to be as responsible as you can, given all the information that you have.
And that issue over across the way, they came back 2 or 3 times and
Yes.
scaled it back and scaled it back till it got to the point where you guys felt.
Well, we have a hearing examiner, and the hearing examiner really deals with all of those different iterations, and they do it. They're a great team, and they do it in such a way that it's not just what did the last proposal say? Is that they match it up very well, and once it gets through them, then they come to us either with a recommendation to approve with conditions, or to disapprove. But the decision's ours.
And there was also a threat of a Bert Harris lawsuit, I believe, too, which would have been a pain in the neck.
Lawsuits lawsuits again are time and money, and the question is,
Like road construction, it's time and money.
yeah, I know.
And you get nothing at the
When am I
end.
getting paid for this?
You get nothing at the end.
Yeah. No, but the issue always is, if you take on a lawsuit, and maybe you feel we should do this, but if the guidance is the fact that you're probably not going to win this, so then you pay for the lawsuit, and you're right back where you started.
Yeah.
And nothing gets gained except, that you went through the exercise. And sometimes you have to do that, but you have to be this is the taxpayers' money, and you got to be careful.
So speaking of the taxpayers' money, you happy with the sheriff's department?
I am, and when you say happy with them, I try to look at the results. The security and safety of our community is paramount. And I think if you look at not only the sheriff's office and the way they've set themselves up, the office I want to put here, but less than a year ago we put one in South Lee, and that was important. That market is continuing to grow, so being able to have people come by, have the response time better, I think they're looking at things very strategically. And if you look at the relationship between the sheriff's department and say Amira Fox, who I think the world of, they're really in step with how do we take a look at these situations. Having a good party. I knew I loved this place.
It's a happy place.
It's a happy place. And so I think it all comes down to results. And I think the numbers speak for themselves.
Do you think that one of the things Jim mentioned was that there's too many, it's too top heavy and there should be more deputies? Are you satisfied with the number of deputies on the street?
That's not really my world, and I have great trust in the sheriff and his team. And I think they have all the information. And I think they will use their guidance, as they see fit. If you want to talk about airplanes, come and talk to me. If you want to talk about the sheriff's department or some other department, go to the people that run it. And you have to be satisfied with results. I mean, the safety of our community, to me, is paramount.
So speaking of that, do you know anything that you could share with us about what happened at the Lani Kai?
The only thing I know is that there is an individual in custody.
Okay. That's brand new news.
And it's a person of interest. That's all I can say is it's a person. I don't know who that person is.
Okay.
I think the only guidance I have is that it was something that was isolated, and targeted. So that instance could have happened really anywhere. It just happened to happen down here, unfortunately, which is of concern. But I think that, and that's all I really know. And I don't press on that because I think whether it's the sheriff's office, whether it's Amira, they have to dot every I, cross every T to make sure when they act, that they're in a position to administer it appropriately.
So the people on the beach don't have to worry about there being a murderer on the loose. They should feel safe.
As far as I know, and I think with great degree of confidence, there's nothing to worry about right now.
That's great. We appreciate you updating us.
Yeah. Well, I was going to segue back to when you were talking about the growth. And I think the other thing is balancing growth. Seems like people are either about growth or the environment and trying to mix those, get those two together, marry those two, because they really depend on each other, because the water here, I mean, you can't really grow it like a business, but you can take care of it. Absolutely. Because it is many businesses rely on that. I mean, it's the very lifeblood of this. So what going forward to continue to improve the waters in the county and in the area?
Well, I mean, what I'm encouraged about when it comes to water is that we have great alignment between the federal government and their importance, of Florida and the economic impacts of Florida. Our governor has made it a key for him. And then we get down to the county level and we start looking at the issues that we can do, fertilizer ordinances, taking a look at and mapping the septic systems, and those type of things. And then you get down to the city levels. We have some great, participation from the cities. Pete Simmons has been a great advocate. Kevin Ruane's been a great advocate. And so now you get down to the local level, and that's where we all can play a part. And at the county level, we have ordinances on not only fertilizer, but also applications and certifications. So we all can play a part, in that. And I'm encouraged by what we can do. There's always a few outliers, the outliers kind of, if you think of it as a skull, everybody's rowing in the same direction, you can get somewhere. The outliers, I like people that are passionate, listen to them, see what the majority is taking you.
Right.
So have you and your opponent have any debates? Is that something you guys have done?
Oh, we've seen each other a number of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they held on? I mean, I don't have TV. So were they on TV or are they at Republican club meetings and things like that?
Club meeting, and other times it may be a different venue and stuff. But for the most part, but the good thing about a club meeting is that they respect every participant.
Yeah.
They give you equal time, and so it's a controlled environment where it's very fair from that aspect. So yeah, we've seen each other quite a bit. It's amazing. I was at the Women of Distinction awards last night, and you get to see Dane Eagle, and you get to see Kevin, you get to see Ray Rod, and everybody, and we've become friends and acquaintances, and it's been delightful.
Right. What are your thoughts on the presidential race? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. It's getting crazy.
Well, I'm for the president. He came down the escalator, 4 years ago or so. He didn't get a lot of help, but he was on a mission to try to change things. And I think prior to the pandemic, we were on a great roll.
Sure.
And so I don't think style points. We probably all can be critical of one another, but it goes back to what's the essence, what's the end result of that. And so I'm very much in his corner and look forward to hopefully his reelection.
You think it's going to be close?
I don't know. If people ask me, "Are you worried?" I go, I'm working as hard as I can.
You got your own campaign.
And I can guarantee you that August 19th, I will wake up and the sun will come up. And,
right.
And we'll take it from there. But I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have one issue that maybe you haven't spoken about that you really want to, take by the hair and if you're elected for 4 straight years instead of 1 year and having to run an election, what do you really want to fight for?
I think all of us, if I had one wish for all of us collectively as a country, is I'd like to get back to some civility, with us, and I think you do that by demonstrating how you conduct your day, how you can, respect other people's opinions, but also be a little bit kind to one another. The yelling at each other, the screaming at each other, people start tuning that out. Right. And unfortunately, I think there's less people watching the news simply because I'm on overload.
Right.
So one thing that we can all do is be a little bit more civil, be a little more caring about, the people in our community. That's what makes a great community. That's what makes a great state. And I think that goes back to some of the other things we talked about.
I think the other thing too is, people have lost trust in what they've heard. During this pandemic, there's been a lot of misinformation and everything. So people now they kind of throw their hands up. They hear numbers, they're not sure how they're counted. It's difficult. And I think now there's a bigger distrust of everything, including the media.
Yeah,
and
I think there's some distrust, but I also think it's just people can't, as you said, people can't process all this. What's the right information? What's the wrong information? And, it used to be that, I remember when I was a kid, Walter Cronkite would come out and that's how old I am, he would talk about the news and we would sit around the table and we would discuss it. And that was a learning exercise. Today, a lot of it's become, I'll use the term maybe unfairly, talking heads. People are set up to have confrontation, people are set up to have confrontation, and that's it's good from dialogue, but it's not always good in how those opinions are expressed.
So why should the voters vote for you instead of whoever's running against you on the 18th? Is it just one candidate in the primary? Is it more than one?
There's one on the Republican side
Okay.
and there's one on the Democratic side.
Are there Democrats in Lee County? I still haven't met one. I didn't know there were any Democrats in
I
Lee
was looking
County.
around. No. There's one on the Democratic side, and so hopefully the primary turns out well, and then we'll match up. Going into the end. Why should people vote for me? I think a couple things. One is I've been. I think I've lived my life in a certain way. I was very proud to wear the uniform of our country and to serve. That's why I was honored when the governor called me to ask to serve again. Have a great family life. My wife and I will be married 38 years on September 11th.
Nice.
I remember the date.
Yeah.
She's been an incredible supporter. Got 3 great kids. If you called my kids and asked them, give me one quote from your dad, they would say, it's all about the people. And that's what I'm trying to do going forward. I do my homework. I work hard. My mission is to care about everybody in Lee County, not just certain pockets or certain organizations or whatever. And I really try to do that. But I trust our constituents. Use your head, use your heart, read the information. You're welcome to call me. My website's Ray Sandelli, and it's easytoffind.com. And I'll try to get back to as many as I can, or call me up, and always happy to have a conversation. Dialogue solves a lot of issues.
Yeah. Doesn't campaigning suck?
That's one word you could use. The best part about it is that I've met some great people,
Yeah.
and I've been some places in the county that I hadn't been before.
Yeah.
And it's a grind, so you're trying to do the best job you can at work. You're going at night.
And the money raising has got it. The worst thing is raising
the
the
other thing
money.
is you're
That's the
trying to
worst.
do
Yeah.
all this, you're busy with the pandemic and all
Right.
of that, and
Yeah.
and you've got all of this on top of it. So, and
It
how do
is
you
what
get
it is.
out when especially with COVID? It's hard. You're not.
Now,
Are you
if-
knocking on doors?
Huh? I've not.
Have you?
I have to run countywide, so it's very hard to knock on doors and have an impact. But I've gone out to as many people as I can, and talk to them. I love individual conversations that way, but it's a little bit inefficient for
Yeah.
running countywide. If the pandemic had any positive effect on my family, is I was gone every night, and then when it stopped, because it stopped for all of us, all the candidates, then I was home every night.
Right.
So I was going, man, this is the 5th night in a row I've had dinner with my wife.
Nice.
I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if she did, but no, it's it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's hard on everybody. So I'm no different than anybody else.
And you get back to business with the county meetings this week, right?
Well, people say, "Gee, you guys are back from vacation." This is the only summer in probably 25 years I did not have a vacation, because
You're still working, right? Just not meeting.
I was working every day, and now I'm getting prepped for the meeting starting next week. So we're back at it, and
And Brian's all healed up and feeling better from the COVID.
he's just a young guy
Yeah.
with that $1 million smile,
Yeah.
and everything.
I saw him posting some pictures about he was getting his blood taken so he could see if he had the antibodies, so they
Oh.
could
Yeah.
they could pass
Yeah.
that around. So
Brian will look to help his family or help the
Good guy.
community in any way he can,
Yeah.
and stuff like this. So I'm very, very proud to work with him and the team. So
well, we always thank you for coming on.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and good luck in the race on the
Thank you.
18th. And thanks for everything you do for the county.
well, thank you. What you do and how you communicate it is increasingly important. And so thank you. And
Well, thanks.
maybe I'll be a 4-time visitor. at
Well,
some
we
point
hope
in
so.
time.
We hope so. You bring down all the important people
He's
too.
one of our few supporters here, so we gotta.
No, look, I
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
Thanks,
so
Ray
much.
Sandelli, everybody, running for Lee County. What is it? Is there a seat number or district number?
District 3.
District
but we
3?
run countywide, so
Okay.
we
So
votes
it
have
won't
to come
matter.
countywide.
Right. All
Okay.
right. Vote for Ray Sandelli on the 18th in the Republican primary. And Ray's always a super guest. And thank you so much, Ray, for coming down and spending some time with us. I'll read an ad if you want to. I got one more to read. If you want to make sure that we take good care of our guests and we give them good parting gifts too as they leave the studio here at Pete's Time Out. And we've got lots to talk about, so don't zone us out yet. We're going to go for 5 more minutes after I tell you about the Fort Myers Tiki Tours. They are open for business, and they're featuring the social distancing cruises. There's nothing better than a social distancing cruise. And, for 4 people, it's only $119.99. For 6 people, it's $179.99. And that's total per boat, folks, not per person, because that would be crazy. You bring your own beer, you bring your own drinks, you bring your own food, you bring your own date, you bring your own wife or your girlfriend or both if that floats your boat. And you can give them a call right now at 239-887-0042, 239-887-0042. And yes, Lee, the answer to your question is Nick is coming on next week. We lined that up during the week last week, so we will have him on next Saturday at 9. So we appreciate you asking that question, and he will be coming up next Saturday at 9 o'clock here from Pete's Time Out. Our thanks to Ray Sandelli, and we have a couple of things to talk about. Take care, Ray. Thanks a lot, and you have a great weekend. We want to make sure – whoops, sorry, dear. We want to make sure that everybody knows this is going to be a crazy busy week. Everything gets back to the action. The council meeting is what? The council meeting, what?
Koozie?
Oh, no, we don't have any of those.
Sorry.
So we're still a little bit on the poor side, so it's only hats right now. But everybody, we have been getting some requests for koozies, so that might be the next order now that we're
Thank
rich
you.
beyond belief with our show. So the council meets on Monday.
Yep.
You'll be there at 9 o'clock. And folks, if you're concerned about public safety on the beach, now's your opportunity. We know the council is considering this nuisance abatement board or committee that they have in Fort Myers, and you want to put your input in on that. And you want to talk about what happened and how you feel about it. You have 3 minutes at every council meeting, and nothing is going to change without more input from the community. And the council members want your input. They always want your input, not just this Monday. They would love to see you come to the council meeting and voice your opinion.
I think not only the council people, but also those advisory committees.
Right.
I mean, I've covered a few of them, and it comes up all the time about getting more public input, and then something happens and people are not happy, and they sit there and they're like, well, we had all these opportunities. So I don't know where the disconnect is, but yeah, if people can, show up.
I think part of the thing is I'm not criticizing anybody, but the town website is sometimes hard to, you have to drill down on certain areas on the town website to find where the meetings are. So one of the things on our new website that starts on Monday is at the top of the site, we have a tab that says meetings. Anytime you were wondering when a meeting is, it's going to be right at the top of the site. You'll see exactly when it is. It just drops down and you can see what time it's going to be. We're going to be covering the council meeting with Scoop here down there at the town hall. And also we'll be having it live on Facebook, but you can't comment if you're just watching it on Facebook. Some of you have already sent letters in to the council, which is good, but they're not going to read them because they have too much going on. So use your public comment time to go down and discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss. And right now is going to be the best opportunity to make your argument about what's going on at the base of the bridge. Speaking of the base of the bridge, a big pat on the back to Councilmember Dan Allers for working with TPI and the Sheriff's Department to get the substation in there, and we don't know what day it's going to open, but they are fixing it up nice. They've got a bunch of.
I think there's people that have donated time and money to do that.
Yeah, it's on my phone. I know who some of the groups are, and we'll put it in a story for Monday. But a lot of the people down on the beach have been donating the plumbing and the painting and all that stuff. It looks nice, and it looks a lot better now than it did. Just sitting there wait for Margaritaville to come in.
I just think it's going to make a huge impact just to have the presence there.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump down from the hot spot on the beach too. So that looks great. And as soon as it opens, we'll let everybody know that. And the county meets again this week, so everything's firing up. But our big news is that our website launches on Monday, and that what it's going to be. And for some reason, some people have been confused by it.
Yes.
It's a news website is what it's going to be. Like, instead of the news being posted on Facebook, where, if you get 2 or 3 more posts, and the story, which was pretty important, gets lost. So the stories are going to be posted on a simple to read website. There's not going to be any pop-ups or videos that automatically play. Nothing is more annoying than when you go to look for news and things are across the bottom and things are across the top, and videos are.
You got to answer a question before you can see it.
It's just going to be none of that. It's just going to be, 8-10 stories. And if there's news happening during the day, it'll be updated and shared on Facebook so it's there. And the other thing that is really cool, and I've been working really hard on this. Oh, you've been working hard too, dear. Doing a lot of research, is the new app. We're going to have a new app on Monday too, and the app is going to right now it's just for the iPhone. Sorry, Jim or Greg, whichever one has an Android. It's going to be for the iPhone, and you download the app, and what happens is you'll get a push notification instead of a text. No more texting the stories when there's breaking news. You'll get a push notification, and what that means, dear, I know you're a little backwards on the technology.
I
Is
get them.
it'll blip up on your phone, and then you can click on the phone, and you'll see the news story right on the website. It's going to be easy as pie.
And people can sign up for the newsletter.
People can go and sign up for the newsletter right now at beachtalkradionews.com, and that's going to come out Tuesday and Thursday in your email at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I want to make sure I say thank you to Nervous Nellies and JPS Vacation Rentals.
Mhm.
They are early sponsors, and they have enough trust in us to spend money with us on the website even before we launch. So that was really cool of those guys to do that. So we're going to make sure we take care of them and take care of everybody that sponsors our silly little project here on the beach. And we appreciate everybody, all our sponsors, from Mango Ritas to Pete's Time Out and the Tiki Tours Place and Island Oils LLC and everybody. So you have anything else you want to talk about? You've been hard at work all week doing research.
Yeah.
She gets all
I will say,
involved.
let me just say, can
Yeah,
I get a
say
word
it.
in?
Go ahead.
That I come down here to do the research and utilize the library down here. I got a library card. It is an amazing building.
Yeah.
There's wonderful people in there. There's so much history, and I mean, it's crazy.
Did you see the puzzles? Did you go upstairs and see the puzzles?
I did, but I haven't focused on that. The view from the little area up top is great, and I have to get out of the house because I can't be in there with you because you drive me nuts, and I get very distracted.
Yeah. So I don't know where you were going with that.
I was just saying, you were just talking about me doing all this research, and I was just saying what a
Oh.
beautiful.
Some of the research is you're wasting your time
I
trying to
know.
figure out where all this PAC money is coming from, and it's like,
I have
Oh,
this
enough
a little
already.
bit
You're
of an
never gonna
obsession
find it.
about the campaign
it's impossible.
finance
Do you
stuff.
think that if it was able to be found, somebody other than you wouldn't have found it? I mean, you just come along, on your summer break and think
Kinda
you're going to
like
find all the
treasure
money.
hunting.
It's
No.
impossible.
I just, I was an unaware citizen of really how that stuff works and how crazy it is and how much money.
Yeah,
There's a lot of money, especially in this area.
yeah.
I mean, when you have so many people running for the 19th seat, that's a lot.
So, what did you think of Jim Levins for sheriff?
I thought he came across as very knowledgeable.
Yep.
He has a lot of experience. He didn't back away from your questions.
Sometimes you have to, ask some hard questions, dear. I know that makes you uncomfortable, and we have a fight at home. I can't believe you asked him that question, but, I think he answered them all fine.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I accept your apology then. All right, everybody.
That
I think
was no apology.
I think it's time for us to go because we have so much coming on, and I will be popping on tomorrow if I can get the website up early. We're going to pop on and do a little live unveiling or whatever.
There's
tomorrow.
news to me.
Yeah, I know. I just thought of that on the way over on my bike, my 50-mile bike ride this morning. Wow, it was hot this morning. It was humid.
It's very.
Yeah.
There is a nice breeze down here, though.
It is. It's lovely down
Yeah.
here. All right, everybody. That's enough of us. You all have a great weekend, and we appreciate you tuning in. And thanks again to Jim Levins and to Ray Sandelli. Could be the nicest politician we've ever met in our life. So good luck to everybody in this race, and we'll see you next Saturday or before. Who knows? Bye-bye.